organized and led by outside activists. In your view, what would be a good way for schools to handle that?
Yeah, so I mean, finding out who are the agitators is something that I'm sure campus police at Columbia, the City Police Department are involved in. They're going through their investigative measures of social media feeds and obviously anything that they're doing, with respect to the event itself and trying to weed out those type of protesters and agitators. And by the way, we should all be on this side. Peaceful protests, anybody that's found agitating or even promoting a terrorist organization like Hamas should be, should be handled by the law in accordance with the law. And I think Eric Adams' team right now is communicating with Columbia Campus Police to try to weed those out and figure out who are the actual students that are protesting this peacefully versus the agitators that are not a part of this.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you so much, Mike Leon. Always great to speak with you.
Attempting to steal our AI and hack American technology every day. When it comes to TikTok, we are concerned very specifically about the risks that poses, given China's well-demonstrated playbook.
Director Wray emphasized TikTok parent company ByteDance's close ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Wray urged Americans to recognize that all of TikTok's extensive power, access, and control are basically in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. These remarks echo widespread concerns that TikTok poses a serious threat to U.S. national security. And the Supreme Court will consider...
And for the record, I'm pro-immigration. I've always appreciated other cultures and languages and people. I value the rich tapestry that makes up this country. And as someone himself who's been deported from a country, I get it. There are rules, or at least there should be. What I'm against is a nonsensical, prejudiced approach to immigration, which is now what we have in this country. Elon Musk posted something interesting on X the other day because I am raising concerns about the flood of unvetted illegal immigrants overwhelming American cities. The press will often characterize me as anti-immigrant, he said. Most Americans do not know that the U.S. Congress currently counts for purposes of voting power all people in a district, regardless of citizenship. Senate Democrats just voted unanimously to defeat an amendment that would have stopped counting illegals for congressional seat apportionment and electoral college votes. He went on to say, since illegals are mostly in Democrat states, both the House and presidential vote are shifted about 5% to the left, which is enough to change the balance of power. I don't know about you, but I think Elon has a point. That's good to know, right? It's difficult and slow to emigrate legally to the U.S., but it's fast and easy to enter illegally. After a recent lawsuit, it was revealed that in Maricopa County, Arizona, 222 self-identified non-citizens were found to have voted in the presidential election of 2020. And that's just in one county. But even if they aren't able to vote, there's natural impact on the census, which means states get more members of Congress to influence federal legislation. Well, that doesn't seem quite right. What does the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, have to say? Well, he's going after states who try to implement voter ID at the polls to verify citizenship and people's eligibility to vote. Oh, yes. The DOJ is much more concerned with stopping states from protecting the integrity of their elections than they are with addressing mass illegal immigration. Maybe the government should, I don't know, protect our rights and our borders, not just always play political games all the time. We've got to find a balance with the country's need for vetted immigrants and our rule of law and our representative democracy. Don't you think? Let us know. And thanks for watching.
Made a gaffe that even conservative commentators found themselves agreeing with. The rally focusing on Florida's upcoming 6-week abortion ban saw Biden criticizing former President Donald Trump's stance on abortion rights. However, in a slip of the tongue, Biden remarked, "I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?" The audience laughed, but Biden, apparently not realizing his error, continued speaking. The mistake quickly caught the attention of conservative social media, with many humorously concurring with Biden's unintended admission of untrustworthiness. The Supreme Court is currently hearing a pivotal case from Idaho that questions whether doctors can perform abortions during medical emergencies despite state bans. This case, crucial following the court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, addresses whether physicians can use their discretion in life-threatening situations without facing legal repercussions. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, a conservative who supported overturning Roe, inquired about the guidance provided to doctors under Idaho's law, emphasizing the lack of a medical certainty requirement and focusing on the doctor's good faith medical judgment. The discussion also touched on potential prosecutions of doctors treating women at risk of severe complications. Fort Worth, Texas, a father's TikTok videos played a pivotal role in leading police to the suspected killer of his 19-year-old son. Luis Carlos Laguna Sr. has been mourning the loss of his son, Luis Carlos Laguna Jr., who was shot in the head after leaving a ranch party in concert in November 2023. Fort Worth police recently arrested and charged 20-year-old Martin Ramirez Lopez with the murder. Reflecting on his son's character, Laguna Sr. told Fox News Digital he was a good kid and he would dance at the drop of a hat. Carlos had just graduated high school and was pursuing an associate's degree with aspirations to join the Navy and possibly become a SWAT officer or a welder. An Australian counterterrorism force arrested 7 teenagers on Wednesday, linked to a 16-year-old charged with the stabbing of Assyrian Church Bishop Mar Emanuel during a mass live-streamed outside Sydney. The attack occurred on April 15th at the Assyrian Christ the Good Shepherd Church in Wakeley. According to Reuters, these associates are considered an unacceptable risk due to their involvement in a religiously motivated extremist ideology. New South Wales Police Deputy Commissioner David Hudson assured the public, "There is no ongoing threat, and the action we have taken today has mitigated any risk of future harm." The 16-year-old attacker is now facing a terrorism charge. President Biden has signed a foreign aid bill that delivers crucial military assistance to Ukraine. This legislative action reinforces the U.S. commitment to supporting Ukraine amidst ongoing conflicts. The bill allocates significant resources, ensuring Ukraine has the necessary support to strengthen its defense capabilities against aggression. This move is part of a broader strategy by the U.S. to uphold international stability and support nations facing security challenges. The assistance includes not only military aid, but also strategic support to bolster Ukraine's defense mechanisms, demonstrating the U.S.'s ongoing commitment to global peace and security partnerships. When Nikki Haley ended her presidential campaign without endorsing Donald Trump, her Pennsylvania supporters similarly withheld their support. Despite suspending her campaign in early March, Haley secured almost 17% of the primary vote against Trump's 83%. With Pennsylvania's critical 19 electoral votes at stake in the general election, the refusal of Haley's supporters to back Trump could significantly impact his chances of winning the state and securing re-election. Despite not posing a serious challenge to Trump's nomination, Haley received over 156,000 votes in the Pennsylvania primary, which is about twice the margin by which Joe Biden defeated Trump in the state in 2020.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu also spoke about leaders, both local and federal leaders, for thanking them for speaking out against these protests, but he added that there needs to be more and stronger condemnation. Back to you both.
All right, thank you so much, Iris. And we'll soon hear from Speaker Johnson in Columbia University, so stay tuned for that. Now looking abroad, the Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, will kick off tomorrow in Hungary. NTD's Luis Martinez is in Budapest with more on the event.
During the next 3 days, over 3,000 conservatives will gather here in Budapest for the third year in a row to celebrate the Conservative Political Action Conference in Hungary. Over 80 speakers, among them 7 prime ministers and 3 members of the Israeli war cabinet of Benjamin Netanyahu, will speak with foreign delegations to share common grounds and common challenges that conservatives face worldwide.
You know, there are, in some of the details, there are differences. But I do think when you're looking at the major policies, for example, on gender ideology, on immigration, which is securing the border for national security purposes, you know, on economic prosperity, those you can find common ground.
European conservatives have their eyes set on the June elections. From June 6th through June 9th, the European Union will hold parliamentary elections that will determine the next composition of the EU Parliament. But the Ukraine war is also center stage. I spoke with Matt Schlapp, the chairman of the American Conservative Union, and this is what he had to say about the Ukraine war.
The biggest problem we have with aid towards Ukraine, there's a division amongst conservatives, whether this is wise or not wise. But I really don't think there's a division amongst people that are aware of what America has done in the past when they've got involved in conflicts. What's the plan?
I also had the opportunity to speak with Michael Shantu, the Director General of the Center for Fundamental Rights in Budapest, who's actually hosting CPAC Hungary this year, and he believes European conservatives will not support further arming Ukraine, as we saw the U.S. Congress approve last week. Instead, European conservatives, according to Michael Shantu, would support a path to end the conflict in Ukraine. Reporting from Budapest, Hungary, Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
Peter Keir, the mayor of a district in Brussels, ordered the cancellation of NatCon Brussels II on April 16th. The order cited reasons such as, NatCon's vision is not only ethically conservative, for example, hostility to the legalization of abortion, same-sex unions, etc., but also focused on the defense of national sovereignty, which implies, amongst other things, a Eurosceptic attitude. The high-profile speakers scheduled for the conference included English Brexit leader Nigel Farage, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, and former Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. Executive Director of ADF International Paul Coleman was on site at the conference in Brussels when police came to shut it down.
This is what cancel culture looks like. This is the third venue that they've tried to put this conference on.
Coleman called the police action a dark mark on European democracy.
I'm not allowed in. No one is giving any explanation as to what the legal basis for the police action here is.
Thomas More Law Center attorney Erin Mersino found it remarkable that a mayor would shut down an event held at a private venue due to disagreement with the viewpoints expressed.
There was nothing that seemed hostile whatsoever about wanting to join, a professional conference where everything was going to be very peaceful and it was going to be a discussion, an exchange of ideas, and hearing a viewpoint that the listeners truly wanted to hear.
Mersino cautions against thinking the same thing couldn't happen in the U.S. The constitutional law attorney brings up the case of Stanford University, where a conservative judge came to speak at a Federalist Society event. Students loudly heckled him, and an associate dean there to supervise refused to intervene, causing the event to end.
Certainly, there could be a day where CPAC is scheduled at a private venue, and we see a mayor of Washington, D.C. trying to shut it down.
Mersino says the way to combat free speech you disagree with is more free speech.
And I hope that we get to a day where we actually not just tolerate but welcome different viewpoints, and we're able to meet those with maturity and discussion instead of just trying to silence someone's view when we disagree with them.
Alliance Defending Freedom International represented the NatCon conference in the fast-paced legal battle in which they ultimately prevailed. The mayor's order was overturned on April 17th, and the event reopened later that day. Psychology professor Jean Twenge wrote in a 2024 Substack article that while 1 out of 4 students wanted to ban extreme speakers during the 1970s and 80s, the majority wanted to do so in 2019. The attitudes of young American college students today, who will one day set the tone in the country, may be concerning for some free speech advocates. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.